So a couple of y'all have been coming to me asking me, where's part three to your B2K, TUG, Chris Stokes, the whole shebang. Where's your part three? And you know what? I got y'all. Let's get into it. So if you still here rocking with your girl, please stop what you're doing and make sure you hit that subscribe button. Please like, share, and comment. Please, it means a lot to me. I want to hear you guys' feedback, and I want to be able to bring you guys more consistent videos, be more consistent for you guys. I love doing research and bringing you guys information that you might not know of. So if you guys like what I'm doing, please make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and let's get into this B2KT. Now, a few of y'all been coming to my comment section and asking, girl, where is part 3 at to your B2K Chris Stokes TUG video, which has been warming my heart. Please believe, because like I said, I'm a growing channel. So anything you guys ask me, I want to give it to you guys. So I've been working on this behind the scenes because I actually did my B2K video. Not my B2K, but the Chris Stokes, Marcus Houston, those videos, I did those last year. So with all of the, rumors and all the drama with the verses and things like that, with all that coming out, you guys been watching that old video and requesting like, where's part 3? Where's part 3? So I'm going to give you guys what you want. So we're going to sit here. We're going to go through some tea. We're going to go through things that the average B2K fan may or may not know. So sit back, relax, grab your blunt, grab your vape, whatever you need, coffee, smoothie, whatever. Sit back and let's get into some things. So what I want to do is take it all the way back to the beginning so you guys can kind of understand the dynamics between B2K, because like I said, some of these things the average fan may or may not know. So B2K was formed in year 2000 by choreographer Dave Scott and Interscope A&R Keisha Gamble. So again, just so you guys, just to repeat, they were formed by Dave Scott and Interscope A&R Keisha Gamble. So Chris Stokes had nothing to do with the group B2K when they first formed. Now, they weren't named B2K, but he had nothing to do with it. And at the time of the group forming together, there was only Jarrell DeMonte J.Boog Houston Sr., which is J.Boog, like I said, Demario Monte Raz-B Thornton, and Drew Pierre Lil Fizz Douglas. Okay, and along with another little boy. But Omarion wasn't in the group when it was first formed, and Chris Stokes had nothing to do with the group, but outside of being Raz-B cousin, which we'll get to later. But I just wanted to point that out and really stick that to you guys, that Chris Stokes did not start this group, because you will go and you will read in some publications and it will say Chris Stokes founded the group. He did not. Dave Scott and Keisha Gamble, who also went further down the line and ended up starting the group Mindless Behavior, which was, I always felt like those little boys was patterned off B2K, and they were very well put together. So according to B2K, the threesome was attending Marcus Houston's 18th birthday party that Chris Stokes was hosting in 1999, where they met Omarion. I think they saw Omarion perform and just was like, we want that guy to be in our group. So the boys chose Omarion. There's interviews with them saying that they chose him to be in the group. But I'm going to just say this off the record. I don't believe a lot of the stories that these guys tell, because they just be lying for no reason. Like they were branded to lie to us, to give us whatever story they wanted us to know. I really feel like it was pre-planned for Omarion to join B2K. And the reason why is because B2K has way too many interconnections with each other. And that's the next segment that I want to get into, is how connected the guys were. Because once Omarion entered the group, Dave Scott and Keisha Gamble decided they didn't want to manage B2K anymore. They didn't want the hassle. So the job went over to Chris Stokes, who was known for managing boy bands. He managed Immature. He did some stuff with Brandy back in the day. You know, he knew how to work with kids or children, young adults. So Chris Stokes had become their manager, but it just seemed inevitable for Chris Stokes to end up becoming their manager because they have too many connections. So the first connection I wanted to touch on was Marcus Houston and Jarrell Houston, aka J.Boog, being first cousins. Yes, first cousins. Now, some of y'all may already knew that, but when I was younger, that totally went above my head, and I thought I knew everything there was to know about these two. Now, with these two being cousins, I guess back then, if we would have knew that, that would have messed everything up, seeing as how they were saying that Omarion was Marcus Houston's little brother. So that would have made this a whole family affair. But yes, these two are cousins, first cousins at that. They have the same last name. I believe it is through Marcus' father, which is Michael Houston. So that is how these two are cousins. So upon J.Boog entering B2K and then getting managed by Chris Stokes, his cousin, his first cousin, was already being managed by B2K. So it was like in the loop, you know, it's crazy. So, but let's get to the next connection. So the next connection that we got, which is wild to me once I look at the overall picture, is Mr. Waterbug himself, Chris Stokes, and Raz-B being cousins. They aren't first cousins, but they are second cousins. So I think Chris Stokes explained it that Raz-B is Chris Stokes' mother, brother's daughter's son. So again, Chris Stokes. So basically, let's just put it like this. Chris Stokes and Raz-B's mom is first cousins. That's what I'm getting out of it. They are first cousins, which makes Raz-B Chris Stokes' second cousin. So, like I said, all this stuff is connected. So you mean to tell me that your little cousin was already in the singing group and you decided to step in once you saw that they was hot? Like I said, I'm just assuming because the way the story that they're putting out, it just doesn't make sense. It seems like there's missing parts, and this group was more orchestrated and more put together than we think. You know what I'm saying? This next connection, I really don't know that much about, so I'm just going to let Omarion tell y'all the connection he has with Chris Stokes, and we going to go from there.
What was your relationship with Chris Stokes like?
Well, he another part of the piece is that at the time he was married to my play auntie, and that was the real connection there. And I have nothing to say. I have nothing to say about him.
As y'all can see, Omarion say Chris Stokes was married to his play auntie. Omarion tune switches throughout the years over and over to the point that he is now, to the point where he is now. And we're going to touch on that a little bit later. But yeah, I just wanted to point that out. And then we got one more connection, which I've talked about this connection before. And then we're going to get into some other tea. Okay, so we all kind of know about this one. I've talked about this one in my previous videos. But because we're just talking about B2K, I'm just going to briefly just touch on this real quick. You know that they marketed Jhené Aiko and Lil Fizz to be cousins. Jhené Aiko is Asian and black. I'm not going into specifics on what Asian nationality she actually is, but she's Asian and black. Lil Fizz is just black. He is not Asian or anything of that nature, but they do look like they could pass for cousins, and they were marketed as cousins. Now, Chris Stokes has a relationship with not only Jhené Aiko, but Jhené Aiko's older sisters, who used to be in a girl group by the name of Girl. So I kind of wanted to clear up when I say in relationship with, I meant that he managed Janae Aiko's older sisters, Miyako and Jamila, who were both in the group, girl, since they were younger kids. So he has a long withstanding like relationship with them. He's known these girls since they were little girls. He's managed Janae's older sisters. So, of course, around the time that B2K were coming up, it was Janae Aiko's time, to try to get her shine in. And she was marketed as Lil Fizz's cousin, which was weird to me. Now, Janae and Lil Fizz do have some connection, and this is way before Lil Fizz even got in the group with J.Boog and Raz-B, and I'm going to show you. Lil Fizz was actually in a group when he was 8 years old by the name of Melodic. Now, I don't know all the group's members' names, but I know we see Lil Fizz right here with the straight bust down part in the middle. Then we got Miyagi, which if you can point him out, he looks like Janae and her sisters. And Miyagi has passed away now. I'm not, I don't know that much about that, so I won't touch on that. But Lil Fizz and Janae Aiko's brother, Miyagi, used to be in a group called Melodic when Lil Fizz was around the age of 8 years old, and this was before he even got into a group with Raz-B and J.Boog. So with all those connections that I showed you guys and pointed out, I just kind of, what do you guys think? Because when I learned all of these connections, or when I put all these connections together, it just seemed that the inevitable was that Chris Stokes was going to be these boys' manager regardless. It was going to happen. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just too many connections, whether it be relatives or hell, I don't know, cousins, whatever. It's just a lot of connections coming in and out with these boys and Chris Stokes and people around Chris Stokes, because it's just weird, you know what I'm saying? But now that I got those connections out the way, we gonna get to some new tea. I'm going to skip all over the accolades and the billboards and how many records sold and all that stuff. And I'm just going to jump right into the breakup, because that's where most of the drama and most of the weirdness starts. So let's get into it. So if you're still with me, we have fast forwarded all the way to the breakup, which the breakup was around 2004, 2005, around the time that the guys were about to release You Got Served. And around that time, Lil Fizz, Raz-B, and J.Boog, they all were starting to question money and management. They were wondering where their money was going and why they weren't seeing their funds. And that was causing a problem within the group, within the management part of the group. The guys never had a problem with Omarion, and that's why that they weren't able to be in a group. They never had a problem with Omarion. Their problem always was with management, which kind of tore them apart. B2K's last performance together was on December 30th at the DAR Constitution Hall in 2004 in Washington, D.C. It was there that J.Boog, Lil Fizz, and Raz-B decided to sever their work relationship with Stokes. And that same night, Omarion was said to be sick and had to be hospitalized, so I believe that they had to cancel the rest of the tour.
Story. And yesterday you said that the group did not break up, but you guys left the management team. Can you tell us what the status is of the B2K right now?
It's like I never said out of my mouth, as well as these two guys or Omarion, at least to my knowledge, say the group was broke up. You know, all I know is one day we looked up, tour was canceled, we went home. Next thing, there's press releases of B2K broke up. We left management, over at TUG. We left management, and Omarion is still currently being managed by them. And by that being, the status right now, we're saying we won't work as B2K right now.
Okay. What was the breaking point? I know. It's unbelievable. What was the breaking point for you all to leave?
Well, I mean, it's like, It's crazy, yeah. I'm sorry.
It's all right.
It's just, things were being said, rumors were flying around, and you know what I mean. By us being so close, everybody know how close we were.
Right,
You know what I mean?
right.
So as you guys can see, this is clearly a problem. J.Boog, Lil Fizz, and Raz-B decided that they no longer wanted to be managed by Chris Stokes. And this is a problem because Omarion decided to stay over there with Chris Stokes. Well, they needed Omarion to be B2K. But if it was necessary, they were willing to go on without him. Now, I don't know if the boys saw that far ahead, but at this very moment, they were basically saying, like, we just want to know what the business is looking like, what's going on with the business, and we don't want to be a part of B2K if Chris Stokes or Katrina Taz Askew has anything to do with it. Now, I didn't mention Katrina Taz Askew before. She is the partner of Chris Stokes, and she played a big part in a lot of behind the scenes things that has to do with this group. Now, what I have on Katrina Taz Askew is all hearsay, and I'm going to read some stuff for you guys, but again, it's all hearsay. She doesn't have a lot of information out on her. She has not done a lot of public interviews like that. So there's not to be shown or mentioned about her. So as you guys can see, J.Boog, Lil Fizz, and Raz-B are making their rounds, doing their interviews, and they're telling people like, hey, we split from management because of business, because of money. And long as Omarion continues to work with Chris Stokes, there will be no B2K. And then you have Omarion on his side basically saying that he doesn't believe the split has anything to do with management because his money's good and he's not broke. And he's able to do his thing. So he basically said that he felt like there were other factors into play on why the group decided to separate.
Basically, it wasn't just one thing. It wasn't like, B2K up and said, like, this is the end of the group. It was definitely a series of situations that happened amongst us. And I think right now it's just, at that time in our relationship where we all growing up and just wanting to do different things because, I really love them dudes, but I really just think that our relationship is at that point right now.
It's time to go separate ways.
Basically, I mean, not separate ways, but, Fizz has a solo album coming out, Raz got his thing going on, and they looking out for them, so I got to do the same thing.
Okay, have you had a chance to speak to any of the fellas since the breakup, since all this took place?
No, actually, I haven't. I haven't talked to anyone.
You haven't at all?
No, not at all.
Wow, that's crazy. Now, they've been on different interviews, and they've said the reason for the breakup was because they're financially strapped,
right,
and they think the cause is because of the manager that you have now.
Right.
Is that true?
No. All the false accusations, have been said. I'm gonna tell you like this.
Okay.
I'm a businessman.
Okay.
So when all of this stuff was being said, me, myself, my attorneys, and all my people went right up to TUG and checked all our books, our records, our financial checks, and they haven't stole one penny from us.
So why would they be? You guys had a lot of success, and why would they say they're broke?
I don't know because I have a Mercedes-Benz. I have a house, I have money in the bank, and I have money to play with. So I don't know what they have been doing with their money, but I'm glad I'm able to come here and really set the record.
You got nice earrings.
So as you can see, we got Omarion over at TRL saying the exact opposite of the 3 remaining B2K members. He's basically saying once they made those allegations about the money being funny, he went and got his lawyers and his mother, and they went to TUG, and they were able to open up the books and check, and he said that his shit was straight. Now, I believe that's a blatant lie. I don't believe that Omarion did any of that. I believe that Omarion was being fed what to exactly say in the media. I believe that Chris Stokes basically told Omarion, look, this is what you go out here and say exactly what I tell you to say and do as I tell you to ask. Omarion even did an interview with Jet Magazine where he kind of pretty much said the same thing. He said, I'm about them wanting to do solo projects. I'm glad I can go on record and set everything straight, says Omarion. It is true that B2K broke up, but it's not about me leaving or them leaving. It's about us growing up and wanting to do our own thing. We have been together since we were 14 years old. The guys are like my brothers, and I love them and only wish the best for them in everything they do. But the time was coming that we were all more focused on our solo projects than we were in the group. Now, pay close attention to what I'm about to say because this will come up later in part 2. So, you can't be a tight unit when everyone is more concerned with their own stuff than they are in the group, continues Omarion. Fizz is done with his solo record, and Raz has been working on his album and managing some artists, and I have been working on my new movie and my own solo record. It was just time for all of B2K to do their own thing. So, like I said, while the boys are not even talking about solo albums, bringing up their solo albums or what they're doing on the side, they're strictly focused on B2K and talking about the business side of things. Omarion is basically saying that's all fake. They're making that up. And I really feel like the boys, when I say the boys, I mean Lil Fizz, Raz-B, and J.Boog, were really hurt by Omarion taking a stance with Chris Stokes and TUG by simply because they were the ones who said, "Oh, Marianne, we want you to be a part of our group." Chris Stokes, according to them, Chris Stokes didn't bring Omarion. They chose Omarion, and they wanted him to join their group. So I think the guys felt that we should be a unit regardless of who's managing us. And Omarion, I think at that time, was just totally brainwashed. And we could take factors into Omarion being young, but I think this was a problem for the guys because it's like, stand with the bros. Like, we're a group, we're a unit. Stand with us. But Omarion decided to stay, and we know how that worked out. Okay, you guys, so I'm at the 20-minute mark, and I want to kind of keep it right up at to that point because, I don't want this video to be too long and lose you guys' attention. So I'm going to make a part 2 to this video, which I'm working on at this moment. So you guys won't have to wait that long for part 2. Please share, like, and subscribe. Please comment. Please give me feedback. Please tell me anything that I missed, anything that you guys may know. Just tell me what you think about the information. I wanted to get this to you guys. You guys been asking me. So here you go. Here's part 1. And yes, I hope you guys enjoy, and please like, share, and subscribe. And I am out.